Hello and welcome to Arsenal Above All. I've got three top gooners with me today. We're going to be talking about long grain rice. No, not going to talk about that. We're going to talk about Bes Rice. No, we're not going to talk about that. We're going to talk about Declan Rice. Declan Rice is finally a gooner. Brian, Neil, and Bez have all got their knives and forks ready, their plates, their chopsticks, everything ready at hand, and we're gonna tuck in. We're really gonna tuck into this after this. Let's go. Welcome to the show. First of all, let's introduce the esteemed guests. We've got Brian. Brian Haley, how you doing, my friend?
I'm good, Mike. I'm really good. Thank you very much. Thanks for having us again.
No, I appreciate it. Appreciate your time, as always, man. So I look forward to hearing what you've got to say in a minute about the former East London United player. We won't mention the name of the club because we're like that, a bit petty like that. They don't want to mention us. We won't mention that. And I've got Neil Shah, 23-24 double. He's taking it a little bit easy. He's not going for the quadruple yet, but he thinks the double's on the cards next season. How are you doing, bro?
We've got to start to learn to walk before we can run. So I went on that route, Double first, easy, then we'll go up from there, I'm fine. Thank you so much for having me on, and pleasure to be here as always, talking about some amazing signings.
Thank you. Thanks for jumping on the show, Neil. Appreciate it. Yeah, listen to your show with James and Jack, which was just around the time everything sort of dropped. If you'd have been running that episode for about another half an hour, you would have been going whilst the Arsenal announcement came out. So yeah, that was a great show. So check that out on Purely Arsenal. Great to have you, Neil. And then finally, we've got the international man of mystery, the Formula One VIP jet setter. He's been missing in action, as you may have noticed from Arsenal Above All. We've had the search parties out and everything like that. But this man, the most dangerous man in F1, he's been up to some shenanigans that he's lost his voice. I can't even begin to imagine what he might have got up to. But glad that Bez is here with us tonight to talk about Declan Rice and some other bits and pieces. Bez, how you doing, man?
Good. Do you want some rice with that?
That's his new catchphrase, people. You can be saying that throughout the season. But I appreciate your time. I appreciate
you. Hey, and Timberwood. Don't put Timberwood. I'll leave that to someone else, but Timberwood too for the winter,
Good to see you, man. Good to see you.
Likewise. Good to meet Brian in as well.
Yeah, absolutely. But no, so let's kick things off. We finally got him. The former West Ham captain. We mentioned his name. Because we're like that. We're classy like that. The former West Ham captain completed his move to Arsenal. £105 million deal. I think this obviously it goes without saying how significant it is, Brian. For me, it almost was up there with the way I felt was the way when we bought Sol Campbell from Tottenham, that we bought someone that was such a not an icon yet, but such a prominent player in the actual league, a player that other clubs were courting, which was the same case with Campbell. I think Barcelona were interested with him, United were as well, and to get someone so significant and so prominent in the league, and for us to sign him, it had the same sort of feelings for me that we're moving really, really sort of, in a different way. What was your feelings, when we finally got it over the line, and what does it feel for you going forward? Because some people will say this is what we left Highbury for, really, to make signings like this, to make an impact, to be up there with the likes of the Chelseas and Uniteds and Man City's now, and soon Newcastle. But what's your feelings and what's your general thoughts on the signing and what it means, the significance of it?
Well, the first significance is that, you know, my poor wife, to be honest with you, I've checked my phone at 5 o'clock in the morning for the last 3 weeks with regarding to seeing if they're going to get this over the line or not, and when it's going to be announced. You know, I can, you know, now she can get a decent night's sleep, because that's how it's just generally been. You know, the fact is, we've been waiting for this to happen. We've been waiting for it to be announced. And now he's come through the door. You're right, though, Mike. The significance of it is you know, astronomical. To be honest with you, I think we've said this before. He's a statement signing for us, as you quite rightly said. These are the sorts of signings which we were expecting when we moved into the Emirates after the financial aspect of it was kind of done and dusted. And now it's there. You know, we're now beginning to see what we expected when we moved into the stadium. Now it's just going to be a case of hitting the ground running, really, and that's the expectation will be for us now. There'll be no excuses. We know that the fact is that, you know, the press, the media, you know, other supporters will be literally on our backs if we don't start off really, you know, really getting the results that we generally need to, and putting some pressure on some teams for next season, because we've now got arguably we've still probably, I would say, one more player away, but effectively we are there as a starting 11, which is going to challenge.
Yeah, absolutely. I think for me, this is a significant sign, and we'll talk about obviously what else could happen in the transfer window, what we'd hope and what we think may happen, especially with the announcement of the players that are going to the States who are on the flight. But picking up on what Brian said about expectations, Neil. Obviously, I know what your expectations are. You've already posted that on your name. But what do you think of the expectations? What do you think about Rice and how he will deal with it, and also how the squad will deal with the expectations? Obviously, what after what we did last season, and do you think obviously it will be like water for ducks back, or do you think, you know, there's a possibility that people are expecting maybe too much? You know, people are saying, well, if you don't win anything, then Arteta's got to go.
Michael, you still there? Don't know if Michael's visit me. I don't know. I'm frozen. Oh,
You still there?
Yeah, I'm still here. I froze for a second. Sorry about that.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay,
yeah,
my apologies.
Did you hear that? Sorry.
Yeah, I heard it all. I just
cool.
saw everyone freeze. I'm like, oh, is it me?
That's all right.
Just talking about just go sort of in reverse for what you just said. Sorry, I just had to I had to contact the restaurant. They'd got my order wrong. I said, no, it's number 41 rice I wanted, not special fried noodles. I wanted special fried rice, but obviously they got it wrong, you know. I don't know. 41 is quite clear, isn't it, really? But anyway, enough of that. The expectations, I think, if I can speak a bit of how, since Arteta has come along, I feel he's like with everyone learning a new, something new, which he clearly is. He was his inaugural job at one of the biggest clubs in the world, and of course he was going to have some dips. It's inevitable, and he's a very young man. And I think, but what I've learned, even when I had doubts at one point, he came on with a bang. He won the FA Cup. Everyone thought, wow, this is it. Then obviously we had a couple of difficult or more challenging seasons. But every time, every step of the way, what he's doing, I think he's been quite clever. And that's why he said it right from the start. You've got to trust the process. He's learning. And I think he's learning as he goes along. And I think he's adapting to even what his expectations, his own expectations, what he hopes to achieve himself with the club as a manager. I think it's coming together very, very slowly, but it's coming together slowly but surely, should I say. And the fact that now, as Brian alluded to a little bit earlier, that the finances now seem to be available to make. I mean, 200 million for 3 players is unheard of for us. I mean, even if it's been 100 million for 3 players, we'd be like, wow, that's pretty impressive for Arsenal. But the fact that we've done it and done it so fast, which is amazing in its own right, just goes to show that he's got the backing. So all of it's there. As far as the expectation is concerned, I mean, I don't get me wrong. I was disappointed that we didn't win the title last season. I really was. You know, all of us were really. If you think about it, you know, I kept hearing that we would have taken our hand off and sold our arm if we were told we'd come up second to City 5 points behind at the end of it. But the fact that we were in control for so long, for me, it was actually a disappointment. But the fact that we did that with what we had then, and now if you think about what we've got now, not just with the additions, but with the experience and the knowledge of where we went wrong and how we can correct it going forward into this new season, I think you know, Brian, you said we may be one more short of right there, but I think we are there, unless, and you'll probably talk about this later, someone like Partey departs, then I think we're going to be short a little bit then again. However, I think we are there to mount a serious challenge and probably win a cup. That's why I put the double in my expectations. So, and fans who sit there and will have a go at Arteta, have a go at the clubs and the team, the players, if it doesn't work out, well, it depends on what happens. Let's see. We can measure that at the end of the season. I mean, if we're 1 point away, like Man City have done to Liverpool over 2 seasons, then, you know, what more can you do? As long as we give it our all, we will. I would rather judge our season based on performances. As long as we fight, we play well, and we don't we don't just give it away, then that's fine by me. And then I think as a result, the byproduct will be a good one. As far as Declan Rice is concerned, he's a top Premiership player. The fact that he was loyal to West Ham for so many years really warms my heart, because with good players, I love loyalty. It's kind of a dying thing now. You know, you had the Adams and the Letitias in the olden days. That seems to be gone. But, you know, he was with West Ham for a long, long time. So he seems to be the kind of guy that is loyal. You could see how happy he was in the videos that Arsenal have put out, how elated he is to be just a part of the family. It's just incredible to see all of that. And just on his own abilities, I mean, he's a very talented individual. He's got Premiership experience. He's an England international. I mean, this is huge. I mean, every other club in the Premiership would have wanted him. Everyone. There's not one single club that wouldn't have done. And I think the fact that he didn't go to Man City is probably because he didn't want to. I think he made it very clear that I would rather go to Arsenal. You know, he stays in London. He knows London. It's a London boy. You know, end of the day, that's probably what he wanted, rather than having to, you know, move all the way up, you know, up further up north. So I think the fact that we've got him, I think we're going to have, if all goes well with him, I think he's going to be a long-standing member of our club. And he's got the leadership skills. I'm not necessarily sure that he'll be given the captain's armband, maybe in the future, but not right away. But he's got the leadership skills, and as a player, he's got the versatility in midfield. He can even play as centre back, I believe. So I don't think we will need him there, because we've got such a great defence now in terms of options. But he can even play there if need be. But he's just a great player. He's a great interceptor. He's strong. He can move forward. He can score goals, and he's just a leader. And I think he's just got the right attitude. He's a very confident player as well. And I think he will just slot in absolutely perfectly into our setup. I will, 105 million. He's going to be starting straight away for me, I think. So that's my thoughts on him.
Yeah, totally agree. Bez, do you echo Neil's sentiments in terms of him fitting in? Obviously, there's talk about him playing as a 6 and having Havertz and Odegaard either side. And if you read the article in The Athletic about Havertz, that Rice's purchase was fundamental to what Arteta wants to do in terms of playing him, Rice, Havertz and Odegaard in a new midfield. But do you think it's as Neil's touched on, Rice's versatility? I mean, he played as a centre back previously, and when he broke through with West Ham, you know, there were doubts about, well, he's playing in midfield, but he's really a centre back, really. And then he's obviously each year he's progressed and improved in terms of what he is now. You know, Roy Keane famously had a go at him last season or the season before, I can't remember, maybe last season, when he kind of said, well, he doesn't do anything, he's not really good at anything. Graham Souness came out and said he doesn't score enough goals. I think his goal scoring this season was the best he's had. So it seems like each year he's progressed and improved. And looking from an outsider looking at West Ham and looking at him, I've noticed how this guy's just gone. His trajectory's gone up, and many years ago would have loved to have signed him, but didn't really. We all kind of thought, he's a shoo-in for Chelsea. He'll go to Chelsea and play with Mount or whatever. But do you feel he's like the final piece of the jigsaw, or do you think there's going to be maybe another one or two maybe to come in if we want to go that extra step this year?
The last bit you said is very correct. Basis on, yes, if we want to go the extra step, you need at least one or two to make sure we finalize, excuse my voice again, to finalize the jigsaw puzzle as it is now, because it seems like we're making a statement and rival fans / the media, as we said last year in the podcast, are not letting us shine. We're literally shining bright in the sky like a star would do, and the media aren't having it. I told you, even the Athletic, I'm a big fan of, I hate to quote them because I'm a big fan of their articles, but why are they attacking us? We're always being fair play. We play by the rules. They seem when Arsenal doing well, they want to bring us down again. When we do badly, they want to bring us more down again. It's like they want to make us suffer even more. It's like now we found this, control, they say, how they embraced us last season, how they brought the fan back on their side, and now they're making us feel like we should go against Arsenal because they're making more sign. Man, these signings are these sort of moments in life, as we say, last 20 years for us anyway, four of us. We can say that we've been craving some big signs like this. He's not just the average player. For me, what I've seen, he seems a cool head. He knows, when to win the ball. He seems one to track back, shall we say. I mean, I'm not going to compare to Vieira just yet, but it would be nice to have him in that anchor position that he can dominate when he needs to dominate, communicate with his defense. Also, want to lead by the front, because I know for a fact he's got a good knack to score as well when he gets the ability. And I'll throw a quick fact: his first West Ham goal was against Arsenal, ironically. So it's quite funny how the tide has swung back the other way, and the man seems like in like I'm gonna say like a Cheshire cat. The way he's smiling, the way he talks about, the way he's just in a great red and white already. He says even today, so he said the colour look good in me. I was like, literally like a little baby in me saying, "Are you serious? You just haven't even played the shirt yet." And you already feel comfortable in the colours. It's like amazing. Timber as well. I mean, we can talk about him soon enough in chatting down the line. But I told a guy that I know so far. Havertz we know, long story short. But Rice as well. I literally didn't expect this at all. I even told the Neil was on holiday. Please let it be announced officially. All this media speculation is signed. Then West Ham say, "Oh, we hate the fact." Sorry to quote them now. We said we wouldn't say their names, but the way they're saying, "Oh, it's taking forever to finalise the papers." Man, Rome is not built in a day. Surely things take time. Like the way we've been patient with Arteta. Yeah. There was a video out there from his first season. Again, I forget when it was. Sorry, but simply he said this: time will come into fruition. We saw that all or nothing as well. He was not fake. He was not scripted. As like you have Drive to Survive. Sadly, which I still heard from that 21 season, as you know, Michael. Yeah. But at the same time, deep down as a gooner, again, I talk only for our club now. More or less, all other clubs aside. Yeah. Somehow, somewhere, the football gods have actually turned on us to say, Arsenal, this is your moment of sunshine. Please take it, like Alcaraz did today. Take it at the moment. You want a player, go for him. But thank God, my prayers go answered. For once, good riddance. We signed them early. I'm thinking, dear Almighty God, you actually are listening to us. Like we've been speaking this the last 12 months. You included. Neil will be even I forget his name, sorry, most of the guys, other guys on the podcast, Ian James and the other guys too. Literally, I feel like, thank God, we've been spending energy. Everyone's telling me, you're doing this for fun, aren't you? I'm doing it for fun, but it's passion. Again, I have the heart in my sleeve when I speak as a gooner. This represents me, my family of Arsenal, people I've encountered, the friends I've made through this club, including you guys. And it's an honor to be around a presence like we've been wasting energy. People might think wasting energy, but it's actually a good deed that we did to raise awareness that, look, we are a good fan base, us lot. We don't induct toxicity, but we bring the vibes to say to people that this is what we need. Let's hopefully the club will listen. Somewhere, somehow, someone probably has picked up thinking, okay, there's fans out there who actually give a crap. I'll keep it, family friendly now. but someone gives a crap to say, look, we're doing the right thing. And before I gather myself, my dean has officially put his shoes down to say, look, I'm going to go to punditry now, and think good riddance. And now Mike Riley, brigade has actually cleared away, from that 2005 unbeaten finishes. I'll finish with that for now.
Yeah, I was going to say, first Rice, getting Rice, Brian, and then on that same evening, the news broke about Mike Dean actually stepping away from the PGMOL. I mean, they normally say bad things happen in threes, but I mean, I'm just waiting for the next thing to come in, which is a good thing. And amazing that he's finally hung up his boots, that crook. But just touching on exactly what Bez has said, and which Rice has mentioned as well in his interview, the All or Nothing documentary, how he thought how well Arteta came across in that. And again, people might have been saying it was because of the cameras. Obviously, Rice would have spoken to Ben White. He would have spoken to Saka, Ramsdale in national duty, and would have basically said, "Look, is that for real?" And Rice has spoken, has gone on record saying he's spoken to those guys, and they've said how he's improved him and what he's done to their careers and how he's improved them all. Isn't it? It's amazing how, again, he ticks all the boxes on the template that his profile ticks off all the boxes of the templates that him and Arteta and they do have kind of highlighted, in terms of what they want to bring in so far, isn't it, Brian? I mean, you look at these got, experience first and foremost. Even though he's young, he's got experience. I saw it on the graphic there, 204 Premier League appearances. I think he's got already. He's got leadership. He's got space to develop, and there's potential there. His best years are ahead. Do you feel now with this signing and the statement signing we touched on before, it kind of feels for me that any player, any kind of young player or anyone that maybe is going to be looking at what we're doing, and maybe we've got that pool that we basically any player worth their salt in that sort of bracket, we'll look at Arsenal and say, this is the place I would like to be part of and be part of this journey again, which Arteta threw at Rice. We're going on the journey. Do you want to be on it? What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, no, I agree with that, and it's something what Neil said a bit earlier on with regarding to City. If you look at City, I think for Rice to have gone to City, they are kind of in transition themselves. They're looking at possibly losing Mahrez, possibly looking at Bernardo Silva. They've already lost Gundogan. Okay, so they're on effectively on a bit of their own little rebuild anyway. Okay, and they've got the fact that they've got to defend the fact of having to doing the treble last season. So they've got more to lose effectively next season than we have. So, Declan Rice has come in and he's looked at the framework of what has been built so far in and around there. English contingent of players in and around the age of 21, 22 to 24. Okay. Now all being signed on long-term contracts as well, which will probably keep them till 28, 29, 30. Yeah. Okay. So most of that side is effectively going to be together for at least potentially 4, 5, 6 years. Yeah. Where if he went to somewhere like City, most of that side would have probably been dismantled in the next 2. Yeah. So he's seen intelligently where the club is effectively going. He's done his due diligence on, the Amazon show, what he's taken from the guys on England duty. He's done his work in and around there to see where effectively the club is going, and ultimately he's also seen the fact is that he's been wanted by the club and he's been wanted by the manager, and that's what any professional would want when they're seeing a side progressing, that they want to be, that they want that player to be there and be at the forefront of what is actually going to be the next phase for the club moving forward. So, it's what I can basically say is for him and the club, the timing of all of this, okay, could not be better. could not be better. Yes, as you quite rightly said, Neil, I would have loved for us to have won the league last season, absolutely. But now I think we're in a perfect position now to basically really to challenge on at least a couple of fronts, as you quite rightly say, Neil. At least on a couple of fronts.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, Neil, I imagine you agree with that. But going forward with Rice, even though obviously he's a great acquisition, I'll bring this up, which I brought up in the last show. I'll get you guys to chew the fat over this as well. I mean, I think I shared it with Brian as well. Obviously, yeah, the squad depth, obviously Rice is in there. I mean, this is kind of the formation that people are saying that Arteta is going to try and use to evolve the team, and make us, we've obviously with Xhaka's departure. The key thing for me, obviously, as we've spoken on the WhatsApp group, is Partey. Thomas Partey, in him going. He's not obviously travelling to the States. I think he's meant to be joining up with ESR apparently a couple of days later, and people are trying to put two and two together. Is it because of maybe some of the off-field stuff he needs to sort out before he's allowed to go abroad, or is it maybe him trying to finalise a transfer, which we're hearing, a club Saudi Arabia, is it offering £40 million? Apparently, he's agreed personal terms. If that happens, Neil, that's the area we definitely have. You would say have to focus on and get someone in. What would be the type of player that you would like to get in that instance, in that situation?
Cool. Good question. I if Partey stays, I was still thinking we need to get another player in that position. So then I was thinking maybe a little bit of an understudy. It doesn't have to be someone full of experience, but someone who's strong, powerful, and young, and have got the hunger to do well in that position, and has got bags of potential. We've seen that so many times as Arsenal fans, with people supposedly being amazing in the academy and then unfortunately not quite making it. With now a few exceptions coming through, thank God. But with Partey, I was looking for that person. But if Partey is to depart, then we need to get someone, like we've been linked with Caicedo, someone of that ilk, because we need someone with experience, someone who's in the same kind of manner that we've got all these players in. That although they're experienced, they're still young. They've got youth on their side. Brian's quite right. Some of these players have got maybe another 5-6 years, good 5 or 6 years left in them, and that's the kind of ball, area or target age that Arteta is looking at. So I still think the central midfield, whether Partey goes or stays, we need a player in that position for me, because the way I see it, Jorginho, I really like him, by the way. I really like the guy, but I think he's probably going to be more useful in the European, the Champions League. El Neni is, for me, again, I like the guy. I love the fact that he loves the club. He's always happy to do whatever he's asked to do. But he's not going to be a consistent player, and he shouldn't have to be. I think for me, he's there for another year, mainly probably just to get his badges, get his coaching badges done. Maybe he'll have a part of Arsenal's future somewhere down the line. But I don't see him as someone who we can rely on if some catastrophe were to take place. And then that just leaves us with Rice if Partey goes. So that it's starting to look very, very bare. So I think we need someone in the central midfield position. I mean, look at the defense; it's amazing. I mean, even if Tierney was to go or depart, look at that; it's just ridiculous. Yeah. And even now, attacking wise, if you were to ask me about one other player, I would possibly still look at just a bog standard, old school, goal hungry centre forward. But we can still probably work around that with what we've got. But then again, you don't know if Balogun's going to depart, and there's a lot of noise that he might do that. Especially where we can still command good fees for him. So for me, priority now, depending on what happens with Partey, is central midfield.
Yeah, because then we've already lost Xhaka with that experience that he's got, and obviously how vital he was in certain games, and then obviously losing someone like Partey. Do you agree, Bez, or you think that? Would you want us to keep Partey, or do you think I believe, I don't believe for a second that the club would let Partey go and not get somebody else in. I don't believe that for a second. Oh, I think you're on mute, but yeah, I don't believe that for a second that they would allow it to happen, because that would kind of let the work that they've done, it'd be almost like 2 steps forward, maybe a step back, possibly. I mean, I know there's talk of Timber's played in centre midfield before for Ajax. Again, it's going to be interesting to see what he's going to use him as. He's going to use him as a right-sided fullback, the fullback, right back, who comes in inverted when Zinchenko isn't there. Then he plays Kyrgios, or does he play him as the cover for Saliba if he's still having issues with his back? To sort of nurse him through certain games. But what's your thoughts on that sort of dilemma that we've come across, Bez, in midfield if Partey goes?
In my view here, the way we kind of let Shaka go, again, it hurt a lot. And knows I kind of was very close to him since he's my compatriot by origin, and at the same time he gave it all for us. And despite the early 2 years was difficult, long story short, and we learned to love him, so we say. He left on a good note. Thank God, redemption, shall we say? He redeemed himself. He left with his health high despite how it happened. And then we actually sold him for a good amount of money. Again, it's business, football is business in the day. But for me personally, I'll say keep Thomas Partey. And I always say, without Thomas Partey, there's no Partey, because the way he's got that to shoot from distance. I think he's learned it from Shaka himself. I think it was early start of last season when I was saying, shoot. I'm thinking he will get it eventually. And then he kind of threw these goals into his game, and obviously his stature, man. I'm sorry, but without his dynamic in statures, actually, Thomas Partey can easily be a rock there. Alongside, shall we say, okay, so say I'm dreaming. Say we go back, maybe Arteta will throw a dice. One day decide maybe, I would say 4-3-3, because, again, that's early days yet to think about that formation. But then who knows, maybe one day, I just got a little light bulb in my head just saying, who knows, we might see 4-4-2 again, like the way the old Arsenal used to play just before the Invincibles came in this life of ours, this special year that was, this momentous club that's been through a lot, as we said before. I won't repeat myself, but the way how we conducted ourselves, the way we're bouncing back again, and the way we keep the haters quiet. It's like, literally, I want to keep Partey. Fine, he might decide to leave, but at the same time, yes, we might decide to buy Concedo, but you can see with Concedo, if he wants to come, he would have come by January. But if he wanted to come sooner, like Rice did, fine, you being loyal to a club. He's been loyal to Brighton, Concedo now. But at the same time, for me, it doesn't show the desire to come to us. Rice, you can see within himself, as I already said, you can see he had the heart to come to us. You can see he's got Partey there. He's got Jorginho with experience. You've got players who understand him. You can see what it means to him. Ian Wright, even when he said he tried to tap him up. I just love the man. The fact he literally feels like he's in a club now. He's accepted already without even stepping foot yet officially in the pitch. But however, I'll say keep Partey, because he's experienced. He's basically his overall presence, despite, okay, let's say what the media said last year about his personal life. Surely I don't think it's true, because you saw with Benjamin Mendy how the fact that was used against him, and it all turns out was fake. And again, I'm not here to attack any media outlet out there, but at the same time, you don't do this to a person, to a human being. Okay, he's a footballer, but do what Italy does. Keep it within closed doors. If it's real, yes, keep it to yourself. Talk to the player. Would you like to leak this out? Would you like to show your breaking news to your fan base? Because I'm sure Mendy, for example, he had a lot of following. I mean, even in my eyes, I thought, you know what? I mean, one day Arsenal will decide, we'll just poach him. Man City will get rid of him and just say, you know what, Arsenal, you can have him. But in this state of mind, and this the way the British press is, man, now you're getting, what's his name? You're getting Vinicius Jr. apologizing to him to say simply what you're being for is not nice. I'm sorry, but this British media is going to basically to hell. The way they attack human beings for doing something that wasn't even true. Find the girl.
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah. I mean, that's the British media. They'll do that to sell papers, and now it's to get clicks and what have you. But you're spot on in terms of keeping Partey for its experience and everything else. But I think, Brian, in terms of, for me, keeping Partey, it's just so we have the option of, we'll have certain games, as I think I mentioned before, like, for example, we play Everton away quite early. We know Arteta hasn't got the best record away at Goodison. I don't think we've scored when we've been up there, or even away against teams in the top, the top 5, the top 6 supposedly. Let's go to Anfield. It'd be great to play Rice and Partey, in that situation. If Partey doesn't play every game well, that's kind of great because we're not exhausting him like we have for the last couple of seasons. But what's your thoughts on that? I mean, I probably imagine I know what you're going to say, but what's your thoughts on that situation? What would you do if we were to sell him, which looks kind of likely?
I think that if I don't, again, I'm another one who doesn't really want him to leave, and Mikel Arteta is going to have to look at variations of different ways of playing in different matches this time round. I think because there's going to be a lot of games, obviously, next season. So there's going to be a level of expectation where we might have to change system against sides that we're playing against. We won't be able to play the same way for 50 or 55 games next season. It's just not feasible, and not with the personnel that we've generally got as well, which are adaptable enough to play in different systems if necessary. I think the alternative, which we've probably not thought of too much, is that the fact is that Ben White can play in midfield as well.
Yeah.
So he can be that alternative, because then you've got Timber playing at right back, and if so you're kind of playing that centre half in a slightly deeper role in midfield if necessary. It can allow kind of Declan Rice to actually do the 8 role of getting forward as well, knowing that he's got the cover of having someone like a Ben White there. And this is obviously if Thomas Partey does leave, but arguably I'd rather keep him. It's good to have the likes of Thomas Partey there and Jorginho in that squad at this moment in time. It just keeps people a little bit level. I think keeping a little bit of a level head in big game situations. Now, I think we kind of said on the last podcast with regarding to the underuse of Jorginho last season in games where we probably needed him in there. We're going to need them around when playing 55 or 60 games next season. And Thomas Partey has to be a part of that as well.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, the thing a lot of people say, making reference to City and look at City's squad, what we need to get to that level, and people say that City have got 2 players for each position. They haven't really. They've got like 16 or 17 players maybe that are really good, and then the rest of them are like your Palmers and your Lewises and I forgot who else they've got, but they're not. They're not all. They haven't got a wholly fully squad stocked out. So I think we spoke towards the end of last season, Neil, about the number of players that Arteta trusts, and I think we said there may be 13 players that he trusts in the squad, or maybe 14. I think now you can say there's a few more, especially if you just look at that squad depth that he trusts, that he he can put Kiwior in now and he can do maybe a job there on the left. Obviously, it looks like Tierney's probably going to drop down that number, or maybe gone completely when Tomiyasu's fit. But you look at his squad now; he has got maybe 16 players that he can trust. No, we're not even talking. I don't think no one's talking about Trossard yet, because we're going to have him for the whole season. Look what he did for half a season. So we've got him as well to contribute. So I think yes, there are parts of the squad that look very, 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 very well stocked. The defense is, like Neil said, is ridiculous. The versatility and the numbers of people that can play in so many different positions, and like you said, White and obviously Timber that could possibly emergency go do something as a defensive mid as well, because they played there before. I still think the right side of the midfield, the attack is an issue. With Saka again, he's in the same situation. He can't play every game. We've got the Euros coming up at the end of the season. So we've got that to come. So the kid's not going to get a break again. It's just going to get run through all the way through till the end of the season and beyond. But I think maybe. Yes, 100%. If a party goes, we have to get someone experienced in, and along that sort of template, young but with experience. Because otherwise, if it is Lavia, Lavia's got great potential, and he looked great against us. But you know, he was in a part of a team that got relegated. Yeah, you can't put it on him, but he's 19 years old. He's going to be a bit of an ask to put him in, but I think we'd have to get someone a bit experienced, obviously, where people are looking at Madrid and see what they're going to do in terms of their midfielders, and maybe one of those guys are going to go out. But I think we definitely will be looking at getting somebody else in. So we obviously got the players. I think they're probably in the air now, going to the States. They've got the MLS All-Stars. Apparently Balogun is going to take part in a skills challenge, and obviously, as Neil was mentioned before, it looks like it might be his last action as an Arsenal player if it all goes as people expect with Inter winning in the bid for 40 million. Again, does anyone there think if he goes, is that another position we need to sort of address as well, or we will be able to get out of it? Because the argument is, people are saying, obviously, get a goal machine, get someone who's going to get you 20, 25 goals a season. But then will that take away the goals from Martinelli and Saka if they are maybe trying to feed this sort of supposed goal machine or guy who wants to get 20, 25 goals a season? Or do you think it won't matter and they'll still chip in? Or because I think, you know, if it depends on the type of striker you get, of course. If you get a striker that can maybe conjure his own goals and out of nothing, maybe. But if you get someone who relies on service, where's he going to get the service from? He's going to get it from the wings. He's going to get it from maybe the guys behind him. But what do you think about that? And do you think players like Martinelli and Saka will kick on and maybe match the figures they did last year and Odegaard, for example? Does anyone think that scenario we may have to keep an eye on if Balogun leaves?
You know what, Mike? It's a difficult one. I'm going to jump in. It's a difficult one because we know worldwide how difficult it generally is to find a centre forward that generally around Europe is going to score 20, 25 goals a season without paying, you know, a silly amount of money for them. It's going to be difficult to keep hold of him as much as I would like us to keep hold of him. And I know, we may have to sacrifice one or t'other. But it's a very difficult one because it's going to be very, very hard to find another person that's going to come in and probably able to score, you know, the number of goals that we want them to contribute to. And also, as you quite rightly said, you know, how is that going to will it have a detrimental effect on the goal return that we generally got from Martinelli, Saka and Odegaard to a certain degree? It'd be more assist led for them rather than it'd be goal scored because there'd be an over reliance on having that new number 9 kind of thing. Yeah. So it's a difficult conundrum, this one with the Balogun one, and it's, you know, I would really like to have kept him as long as we possibly could until the end of the window and see what really happens. But that's not really going to happen. It's probably going to happen before the season starts. And then, you know, then we're in a bit of a predicament then anyway. Then you've got to go with what you got. Yeah,
agree. Neil, you obviously were happy. You obviously would rather keep Balogun and sell Eddie, wouldn't you? But
I would. I don't think that's going to happen. I think Eddie's got a quite strong relationship with Arteta. Arteta really, really likes the kid, and I don't think he's going anywhere. He's probably going to want to get him to see out as much of his contract as possible. So I think out of the two, if one was to depart, it would be Balogun, and plus we would probably get more money for Balogun anyway because of what he's done in the last season, just gone. I'm with the guys. If talking about Partey and Balogun, I'd rather keep both of them, but I just don't think that's going to be a possibility for at least one. They need to recoup some of the money that we've just spent. And the obvious options where we can recoup that money is Balogun, Tierney, now even Partey, who's been thrown in the mix. So, you know, but for me, again, the central midfield is a must. If Partey stays, we still need to get an understudy in. If he goes, we need to get a replacement kind of player in, because otherwise we're going to be short again. Like you said, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. With Man City, we cannot go backwards at all now. We have to fly forward in every aspect of what we're trying to achieve. I think in terms of a striker, I wouldn't suggest to say that we get. I know I've quoted, and I'll still stick by that. We don't seem to get one of these strikers that are selfish. And I love this about our team. They're all very unselfish. They're always trying to pass the ball. They're trying to create the perfect goal, etc. And we didn't do badly, did we? We scored how many? 88. I don't know how many scored last season. We didn't do too bad with the setup we had. Where I'm thinking is sometimes where we are struggling up front, and you just got that guy that can do what we expected Eddie to do, but didn't. He did it to a certain extent, but not completely for me. There was still something missing with him. And you just need that player that can just slot them in when we're struggling. And he doesn't have to be part of the main process. He could be a part of a plan B. He could be coming in for certain types of games. So he's not going to take away what we had last season with the Martinellis, the Sakas, the Jesuses, and the Trossards. I think because we are going to be trying to compete on four fronts, we're going to need those extra pieces of skill, if you like, to be able to maybe manipulate a situation where we're struggling or where we can't break the defense down. And we just get someone who, like you said, doesn't need any help, can go out there and bang, goal. And that could be a winner. That could be as 2 points saved and a point, gained. Any of those situations. That's where I'm coming from, but I can't see it happening. I think the plan is, if Partey goes, we'll get a replacement in, and then I think James said it on the Purely pod. He thinks probably we'll get a big striker start signing next season, not this season. That's what he thinks. I think the big signings are now done. I can't see spending any more big signings. We might get one or two at the end of the window, depending on who goes, but I can't see anyone huge coming in. But I'm just focused on that central midfield position. I want to see what happens with Partey. And then, like the guys, like Brian said, hopefully it'll be right at the end, and then we can evaluate from there and see we'll see where we go. And I just want to mention one thing before I shut up. Trossard is exceptional. I hope to God Trossard is used a lot, because I've got so much time for him. He's done nothing wrong, in my opinion. I'm getting quite angry about this. From his signing from January, I think he's one of the best, if not the best for me, that I've seen an Arsenal signing in January. I think he's a tremendous player. I think it was really unfortunate when Jesus got fit that he was almost thrown out and put to the side. I didn't like that at all. I think Trossard is a massive player, and I want to see a lot of him in at least the Premiership, if not the Champions League. I don't want him being a bit part player. I think Trossard is too good.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. It's kind of been a little bit of a forgotten man. Like I said, his numbers were pretty amazing, weren't they, Bez? In terms of that, and he stepped in. He linked really well with Martinelli. It didn't seem to be. We were winning games. He got Player of the Month, and then obviously, Jesus came in. And then, he was kind of like on the back burner. But it's almost like what Neil was saying in terms of the type of striker. It's almost like, it'd be great if we had a clinical Gabriel Jesus, right? Because he does all that stuff. He's a action man. He does so much stuff. He can score goals off his own back, but he's just not clinical enough. Are you concerned about that aspect of his game, or do you feel as like that's something we maybe just going to have to focus on next year, or maybe address in January? But I mean, obviously that's always difficult. But is it boiled down to him trusting his squad with maybe people like Trossard if things aren't sort of firing up front? Because I think where we need to really, I think going forward, as you guys have said, go forward. Martinelli, Xhaka, Odegaard, hopefully Havertz. I think the goals will be there. It was defensively which let us down last season. We let in way too many goals at home. Neil, you was there. You've watched loads of those games. The amount of silly goals we let in. We won those games against Palace, against obviously the famous one, Bournemouth. Couple of games I can't think of the top of my head, but we just conceded really silly goals. We were involved in too many epics or too many thrillers. At the Emirates especially. So I think defensively is just. That's what we need to sort it out. But what's your thoughts, Bez, on that sort of conundrum, the midfield obviously going up front?
First and foremost, despite the way now certain Brighton fans are a bit salty again, but I feel like Trossard has to be utilised like a false number 9 maximum a lot. To at least let Martinelli do his thing, which he does best. Let Saka, of course, do what he does best. Let him say Odegaard do what he does best. For me, that's one of which. But I'll say for the life of me, okay, Bellingham does go. Say if he does leave. Hopefully not Partey. Maybe not Tierney as well. Okay, let's say Bellingham leaves. I mean, for me now, what's his name? Trossard I experience. At the same time, I think it make him like Bergkamp and Henry used to do. Again, I'm only dreaming. There's a young man inside me. I think utilize him as a false number 9 because Trossard can finish, can shoot from anywhere. He's not scared of it. He's not scared to go for any. So you can already see the early bonding without even having the field together, basically.
Mm-hmm.
And when I saw I think it was the Brentford game, which I thought you drew the lines, these bunch, you know who. And I was there when he scored his first Arsenal goal. I already saw this man. Straight away he gelled. What about the new players now? They come to Arsenal, they're fitting like a duck to water, just like that. And I just hope same goes with the rest of the signs with us. Okay, I'm thinking in my head now, and guys, please feel free to jump in there. Say Bellingham does leave or Bellingham does stay. We like Jesus. He's a good all-rounder, say striker as he is. Or if not, drop him back a bit like midfield to the side bits when they say the final third of the game is clocking, ticking off. You need someone who can shoot from any distance. Meaning, Trossard I've seen for a man his height, and I'm sure he's not that tall. He simply will get him with the sticks, and he'll go with the ball. Sorry, he'll go where it really hurts, and he'll get in there. Like he will literally get in there where it really, really hurts, and he'll demand so much. I feel like we need someone like him. I think he reminds me a bit like Shaka did at the beginning, which we didn't take that notice until we did now. I feel the man will simply go there on those big games. Okay, yes, and the smaller teams, of course, but we need him to be able, as Neil said, we kind of froze him out. Jesus did come back, but sadly he didn't have that same dynamic, I can say, this presence he had the first half of the season. I just felt like that his injury kind of like came at the wrong time for us, even though he wasn't picked for his national team. But at the same time, I just feel like, please use Trossard. We know we can do. We saw before he even left Brighton the way it happened. Sadly, I don't want to go into it because it's not my thing to talk about. But sadly, the way it happened, the man scored a hat-trick, at Liverpool, and the last one to proper do, as we know, was a certain Arshaving. And again, I don't want to draw comparisons, but I do feel he can easily be a little Arshaving, get him with the sticks, shoot from anywhere, but please utilize him because he can be a good anchor in that attack, same as Partey would do. Again, Partey would be able to defend. We know he can defend really well, but please don't sell him. But please utilize players. He kind of froze out because I feel like with Jesus, he's not your strongest striker there. He's even physically same as what's his name, Vieira is. I think Vieira needs a loan. Simply be okay. We got Marquinhos. Again, that's another Brazilian who seems more tough. For me, Fabio Vieira, as much as he's got a Vieira name in his badge, in his shirt, sadly he's not physical. He seems kind of like a little boy. Sadly, because he needs some physical strength.
Yeah, I think Arteta and has kind of got faith in him. Spent a lot of money on him. I think they're gonna give him a chance this season. But again, if ESR comes back and he's on form, shows the form he showed for England under 21s, I think he's going to have pretty much of a bit of a fight. But I think again, touching on Trossard, I think he's the type of guy. Again, Champions League games away from home, he's a technically good guy. Keeps the ball really well, so I think he's going to be sort of vital. Someone like him and Jorginho will be really good to sort of keep possession. When we're sort of playing in those games, away from home, which we've, those top level games, I should say, away from home, which we've missed for the last 6 or 7 years. So, yeah, interesting times ahead, and just good that we've got that Rice deal over the line finally. Obviously, that shot of him with Trossard on the plane. I think the guy is going to be captain or vice captain, before we know it. He's going to be. He said himself he wants to have his best years at Arsenal. So Yeah, go ahead, Neil.
Mike, just very quickly, a couple of things that you asked and I forgot to mention. So just briefly, firstly, touching on when you said about Arteta, do you think he trusts more of his players now? Well, he should. This is becoming literally his team, so he should. Yeah. So that hopefully is something that will expand rather than just the first 12 or 13 and sticking with them. I think now there'll be a bit more of an expansion. The second thing is, we've got another winner with Rice. He's won a European Cup as well. So we've got another winner that's coming. We're starting to get all these winners in. Whereas before, Arsenal were just a team which had no experience, no winners at all, didn't know what the feeling was like, nothing like that. So that's a massive plus. And then I think the other thing is you said about if we did get that. So I don't think we're going to get that striker in, by the way, that I'm dreaming of. Mm-hmm. But if we did, you said would it hinder Martinelli and Saka? No way. Saka is going to get better and better. And to be honest, I think they're so in tune with what they want to do for the club and not individually so much. They wouldn't even mind if goals were taken away from them. They wouldn't mind as long as we're successful and we're winning and getting results. It doesn't really matter at them, and even from the fans' point, it doesn't really matter the scores as long as we play well and we get the results. That's all we're looking for at the end of the day. And I think Martinelli and Saka are too in tune and too involved and absorbed in what's happening with this club. They're not going to mind. They're going to listen to the manager. They're going to listen to the coaching staff, and they're going to say, yeah, that's fine. We're happy to do that. And it won't hinder them one bit. So I just wanted to put those things out there. My apologies.
Yeah. Quick one before I interrupt Brian. Just one, I know it's only a friendly, but the way Saka and Ben White, a team as a whole, the way Saka took that ball, the way he swung it. Okay, again, I'm only dreaming. And people say, you're dreaming, mate. You live in the past. Man, it's how people grow, how they live from another legend to another legend, as we saw Saka when he scored 3 games against United in a row, which doesn't get mentioned a lot by the media, sadly. The way he scored that goal against Nuremberg, the way I literally just saw myself, oh my God, this man's been watching the end ride. He's been watching a certain late David Rockhustle and Henry. The way, I know he's a friendly, but the way he scored against Nuremberg, I was like, star boy, I mean, I love this man, but I mean, can you just keep going? I mean, surely give a little insight to, what's his name, ESR when he comes back. I want ESR to succeed because we saw ESR before his injury. The man was as well. He would just shoot from anywhere. Yeah, I think he's a little trossard as well. I'm sure this team will actually just gel. We just need the right time, the right place, right mindset, hopefully. Yeah. And hopefully the football gods are on our side again. And that's what I have to say for tonight, but leave the rest to Brian. But I just can't wait for this new season again. It's just something else.
Yeah, just hope, totally agree with what you said and what Neil said, obviously, about the 2 generational talents, obviously, Martinelli and Saka, that they actually are. And agree. Yeah, it obviously just depends on what type of striker it would be. Let's say, who it would be and how they adapt to that. But yeah, I think they're going to meet the same figures that they reached last year or exceed it. Last words for you, Brian. We just hope that we get through a good pre-season, right? Because this is where titles are won, in the pre-season, right? When you get the fundamentals right, you get the systems right and everything, you get all the players bedded in. We've done that perfectly. We've got the players over the line, the key ones. Let's hope Odegaard and Trossard aren't too badly injured, obviously, after the game on the Thursday. So, yeah, what's your takeaway in terms of the pre-season and what to expect, what you want? Obviously, the games that we've got, obviously you've got Barcelona and United, and then we play United again quite early again in the season.
I think now it's all about mapping. Now it's about mapping each fixture that effectively we've got to play for the season, because you're going to have to utilise that squad. He's going to have an awful lot of trust in that squad now, because he's built
his squad, which Neil said.
Neil said, it's his squad now, and he's brought the personnel in where he has to trust them, and he should be looking at each game from pre-season right through to the start of the season to when we get the Champions League fixtures which come through and stuff like that, to start mapping players who will play in certain fixtures. And having a way of playing for certain fixtures that we're going to face. Last season was one of those seasons that we played one way for 30 games in the league, which we did so well with, but then ultimately it ran out of legs, it ran out of steam, it ran out of ideas. Now we've got new ideas which have been put into that squad, okay, and there's people going to be challenging for places as well. But we'll be having to look to navigate 55 or 60 games in a season with those particular players, and he's going to have to trust every single one of them in every single game effectively we've got to play next season. And that starts, as you quite rightly said, Mike, it starts from the pre-season friendlies.
Yeah, good stuff. Yeah, so it all starts, I think, Tuesday or Wednesday. Is it on Apple TV, Neil? The MLS game.
Yeah, apparently I didn't know that, but it is. Yes, Apple TV.
See if it's on at 3 o'clock in the morning or something like that. So
something like that.
Yeah. I'll have to watch highlights.
At least the WhatsApp group will be quiet for a change.
Yeah.
I think you get free Apple TV for 6 months if you're a PlayStation member, apparently. But at the same time, I don't have time for that. I'm going through changes right now, so I'll stick to the Arsenal glasses.
Yeah, I'll watch the highlights in the morning when I'm working from home. Don't tell my boss.
No,
I'll tell my Paddy one, Mike. I'll tell my Paddy one. Just slice up your old man. Just say, "Daddy, are you watching the game today?" I love TJ. TJ, I forget his name now.
Yeah.
What a legend that little man is.
Thanks for your time, guys. I really appreciate it. Brian, Neil, Bez, obviously buzzing about the arrival of Rice has been delivered. Finally from East London. It's funny, he got a big bag of rice, but it came with a lot of salt in it as well, which have to get rid of that as well. But no, thanks. Appreciate you guys, Jay. I really do. Spending your Sunday night. Don't know what you're going to get up to now, but I'm going to try and go to the gym and try and get myself in shape for the season. What was to come? I think it's going to be a pretty special one. I'm just saying that now. I'm not going Neil Shah settings where he's going for double. I think I'll be happy with some sort of trophy. No, I think it's going to be a special season. Just got a really good feel. Like I said, it's got a feel of that Sol Campbell signing, the statement and the impact it's made. You saw the fan base is just on a different level at the moment now. So I appreciate that. Thanks to everyone again that supported the show and watching the show, whether it's on YouTube, on Spotify, on Acast, and Anchor. This will be out as soon as I can get it out, and we'll be back obviously with some more entertainment or show once we get some good information. Hopefully we can talk about a win over the MLS All Stars if Messi features or not, and then obviously Barcelona and Man United to come, and then Monaco, and then Man City. Which will hopefully win the Community Shield to set a statement there. So thanks for watching. Thanks for your time, guys. Bez is about to go back, and he's got his snood on now. So he's
a certain snake used to wear this. I won't say his name on this podcast. Certain snake, if you remember, used to wear this thing.
Yeah, it's sort out his throat after his shenanigans at the British F1, where he was rubbing shoulders with Jenson Button of all people. He's a bit of a party boy. So look, you put two and two together and know what Bez has been up to. For the last week.
He's from Somerset. Lad, and I'm a London boy now, so you know what can I do?
Me and Brian are about to depart. We're going to leave Neil and Bez in the studio now. Please, I take no responsibility of what the conversations these two are about to have. If the show is cancelled by YouTube, I'm sorry.
Look, same time tomorrow, then, Michael.
So this could effectively be the last episode of Arsenal by Wolf. So it all depends on you two what you say, man. So So we and Brian are about to bounce. We're going to leave you in the capable hands of we'll be back soon. But appreciate you all, work boys. Love you all. Thanks very much, and up the Gunners.
You know who made it.